What's going on, guys, and welcome to another video here on my channel. So on a very regular basis, I always get asked the question, Jay, what can I do, what exercise can I do to get better abs? And what people don't realize is it's not just about the training you're doing on your abs, doing a million sit-ups. There's so much more that goes into actually getting abs that I'll be talking to you about in today's video. Hopefully you will come out of this understanding exactly what it is you need to do in order to develop your abs and get the six-pack that you have always wanted. The first thing that needs to be addressed is diet is as, if not more important than the training. You need to be in a calorie deficit. So what goes into your body needs to be less than what is going out. So you need to be exerting a lot of calories, training more and eating less. That is going to ultimately help you lose body fat and get the six-pack that you want. Now, this doesn't just mean be in a calorie deficit for a week, 2 weeks. You need to be in a calorie deficit for a significant amount of time. Depending on the way your physique is already made up, if you're someone who's got the outline of abs and just wants to shred for the summer, or whether you're someone who's a little bit overweight and wants to get abs, calorie deficit needs to be for a significant period of time in order for you to get that shredded look that you desire and ultimately to build the abs. It's important that you stay patient with your calorie deficit. It's not always going to work straight away. It may take a long period of time for the body to chip away at that stubborn body fat that you have. I mean, you'll always hear a lot of people say, what can I do to get rid of the excess fat around my arms, my abs, my chest, my legs, etc, etc. The truth of the matter is you don't decide this, your body decides this. So it comes down to a lot to do with genetics. Where the body chooses to lose body fat isn't about what exercise you do or what you train. It's about staying in your calorie deficit, and over time the fat will go from the places that you want it to go from. Just as the same way that not everyone can build muscle as easily as anyone else. You know, it may take some people longer, may take some people quicker. Again, it's about staying patient with the process and doing it over a consistent period of time. My advice is always slow progress is better than no progress at all. When it comes to the topic of food, the best advice I can give is to always make healthier choices. Opt for low calorie dense foods like fruit and vegetables and things that are high in fibre. High fibre foods not only provide more volume but also take longer to digest, ultimately making you feel fuller for longer whilst you're still on less calories. An example of something that's not fruit or vegetables that includes fibre is actually something like popcorn. It's a high fibre, low calorie whole grain. I think the best thing about eating things that are high in fibre is that you won't feel dissatisfied, and being in a calorie deficit won't affect you as much. So if you're having a low fibre diet, you're going to always feel hungry, and it's going to be a lot harder to maintain that calorie deficit for that period of time, that lengthened period of time that I discussed earlier. And also when addressing macronutrients, it's important when trying to build muscle, because that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to build your abs as well as shred body fat. The muscle there, the abdominal, you want to build it, and protein is essential for growth and repair, as we all would have learned in school. Protein grows the muscle, so make sure you're having a high protein diet. It will aid in lean body composition. While staying on the topic of a calorie deficit, it is so important that you don't just starve yourself and just not eat anything all day. Crash diets are unlikely to actually result in long-term weight loss, i.e. getting the abs that you want. In fact, they can actually do the opposite sometimes and lead to long-term weight gain. And the reason this is because it's actually a difficult diet to maintain. You may also be missing out on essential nutrients, as crash diets can be limited in the variety of food consumed. Resulting from a crash diet can be the fact that your body will be low on energy and may cause you to crave high fat and high sugar foods. Once the craving comes, it can lead to you actually eating these foods, which ends up in you eating higher calories and not being in the deficit that you need to be in. Now, when it comes to your training, along with your diet, the most important thing is that you make sure it's something you can stick to for a long period of time. Like I said, you may need to be in this process for a long period of time. So if it's not something that you can stick to, then you need to change it. On the subject of training, progressive overload is so key when it comes to getting rid of body fat and getting those abs to show. Training harder than you did last time is imperative to losing body fat. Whether that's lifting heavier than you did the last time, obviously making sure that you maintain good form, or doing more reps, doing more sets, walking or running for faster or longer, whatever it is, making sure you did better than the last time. The change doesn't have to be drastic. You could lift half a kilo heavier, and then over a period of time you'll see this half a kilo amounts up to 5 kilos, 10 kilos. So you are lifting heavier over a long period of time. Walk a mile and a half faster than you was the last time, or run a mile and a half faster. Eventually you'll be picking up speed, and your speed will change drastically, and you'll help get through more calories more quickly. You'll be working harder and you'll get to where you want to be. I think ultimately what you want to be seeing is that your workload is increasing over a period of time, and this will further help you maintain the ability to shred and get the abs. If you are noticing that your workload is increasing, then you're likely to plateau and find it a lot harder to stick to that regime. You may think, oh, but I don't really want to push myself that hard, you know, I'm already struggling with it. But believe me, the harder you push, the easier it will get. Your body will adapt to all the training and the increased workload, and in turn have the ability to push itself harder. One thing I will say, if you have a cheat day while on this process of a calorie deficit trying to get abs, don't beat yourself up. It's one day, pick yourself up, go at it again, even harder. The next day, day after that, for the foreseeable future. Don't let yourself be put down by having a cheat day and think that your journey's over because you messed up once. You can quickly get back into the routine and keep pushing to get the abs that you want. It should be noted as well that whilst we're on this subject, calorie deficit isn't day by day. It's week by week, month by month, year by year. So if by the end of the year you have maintained in a calorie deficit over the 365 days, you will have lost weight. Obviously, the amount of weight you lose will be dependent on how much of a calorie deficit you've been in and how hard you've been working. But like I say, as long as you maintain that deficit, you will see some sort of progress. Now, getting the diet out of the way, we're now going to actually move on to the training side of things and what you can actually do to develop the abs. Now, there's a huge debate on actually training the abs. Some people say that you get enough ab training by doing your compound lifts like squats and deadlifts. You don't actually need to do like the crunch variations and the sit-up variations. Whereas some people say the complete opposite, that it's 100% necessary. So I'm going to clear some of that up today. Crunch and sit-up variations are normally the go-to, and the primary function of the rectus abdominis is to flex your spine. And this is where a lot of confusion and debates have come into play. But I'm going to clear this up real quick when it comes to actually whether there is a problem with doing these movements where your spine is flexing. And there's actually been studies to show that performing these exercises as part of a routine will not have an adverse effect on posture or even affect the spine in any way. However, with all this said, I personally believe there are a lot better exercises than the crunches and the sit-up variations that you saw earlier that can build and define your core. A great example is the ab rollout, as this is probably one of the most complete ab exercises of them all. It engages most areas of the abdominals, with core stability, crunching and balance all part of the movement. Another favourite of mine is the reverse crunch, as by performing them it can be a way of actually getting that crunching motion without getting that flexion of the spine that people look negatively on. If you want to target a little bit more the lower abdomen, then I would always suggest a hanging leg raise is probably the best way to get this done. And overall, to develop the abs, a combination of the both, so like the crunching movement and the hanging leg raise, will be a great way to get the definition that you need in those abs. Studies have shown that increasing load can actually increase activation of the core and in turn allow you to progressively overload the movement you're doing in order to build the muscle. Now, I know a lot of you may be sitting there wondering, well, why hasn't he said the plank? I know that's a fundamental exercise for core activation. And actually it is, but not in the way that you think. See, the normal plank actually has been proven to not really engage the core correctly. The best way to do it is to progress it in a way where you push your arms forward slightly. This way you have less support from your arms and you're relying more on the core. And you also want to produce a pelvic tilt by engaging your glutes. This will make sure you have the most core activation and get the most out of your plank, as opposed to doing it the normal way, just resting on your forearms and not actually engaging the core correctly. It can also be a great progression to add a weight onto your back. This will help gain some more tension on the core and help further your abdominal gains. Now, when it comes to reps, sets, how many exercises you should be doing and how many times you should be training abs in a week, you probably see a lot of people on social media advocating these high rep workouts where you're doing like 50 reps on abs or you're repeating the movement for a solid minute. But no studies actually suggest that these high rep workouts do anything for your abs and won't necessarily help you make more progress. Depending on the movement you're doing, the rep range can actually vary. I normally recommend no more than 10 to 20 reps on each exercise, or maybe even 5 to 10 if the movement is being performed with a weight. The reason I suggest only to do 10 to 20 reps and no more is because you want to still be slowing down the movement and focusing on the contraction. Sometimes abdominal movements can get rushed and they're just pushed to fatigue, when really if you slow down the movement and focused each rep on getting that contraction, you'd feel the burn just as much as you would if you did 30, 40 reps. And you'll get more out of it in terms of your abdominal development. Because of the size of the abdominal muscle, as opposed to other muscle groups, you can probably train abdominals more frequently. When you do train them though, I'd suggest keeping it short and sweet, not overdoing the exercises, and keeping it to about 2 to 3 exercises per session and around 3 to 4 sets on each exercise. That way you can really focus on getting the contraction like I spoke about and developing your core without fatiguing too much in that particular session, and then allowing other things like your back to take over and help with the movement, which can cause problems for you later on down the line. Now, when it comes to cardio, you may be asking, well, what is the best form of cardio for me to do in order to burn body fat? To be honest, this is down to you. You can see what kind of cardio you enjoy the most, what you may find the easiest to get done, what may be less time consuming for you. It's all up to you, whether that's walking, running, cycling, HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training. It's completely up to you. Just making sure that you're working hard consistently over a period of time to maintain that calorie deficit and be exerting more energy than what you're putting into your body. That is the main thing. If you find things like walking boring and you see so many people saying you should be doing 10,000 steps a day, 12,000 steps a day, then I've always been a big fan of running. I mean, I know that's not everyone, but you get your steps done a lot quicker, and obviously you get the heart rate elevated and you can burn through a lot more calories a lot more quickly. If, for example, on a certain day you haven't got a lot of time, you can always mix it up, and like I said earlier, do some forms of high intensity interval training whereby you set up different circuit exercises and perform them to maximum intensity for a period of time, have a little bit of rest, but really go ham in that period of work. And by doing this format of work, you can actually burn a ton of calories in a quick amount of time. You can even incorporate weight into some of these circuit style training sessions, and that can benefit your muscle growth as well. But it should not be forgotten that in a general weight gym session, you will burn through quite a few calories. If you've ever want to watch that can determine how many calories you burn in a gym session, I'm sure you would have seen it. You actually burn quite a lot, even in just, you know, an hour to an hour and a half of a weight session. You don't always have to be sweating bundles, out of breath, can't talk to anyone, panting, red-faced. Sometimes if you just go in the gym, push some heavy weight, you'll be exerting a lot of energy to push through those weights, and therefore you'll burn a lot of calories. So we have discussed how crucial your diet is in terms of developing abs. We've also talked about the forms of training you can be doing in order to develop your abs further, get the definition you need, and obviously help trim that body fat down. I think it's really important that you set realistic goals. And this kind of ties in with what I said before about achieving some sort of progress and being patient with the process. Whilst it's possible to work your socks off and diet to the extreme to achieve your goal weight and get abs and everything that you want, if you follow this aggressive pattern, you're unlikely to be able to stick to it. Let's say, for example, you're preparing yourself for a holiday, you want to get the six-pack, you're on the verge of it, you've got about 4 weeks of this holiday, so you aggressively cut your calories, you do 3-4 hours of cardio a day along with your gym session. As soon as you get back from that holiday, you're gonna have thought to yourself that that process was so hard for that 1 week, you're probably unlikely to actually stick to it when you get back. Goal setting is so crucial. If you can think more long term and give yourself time to achieve your goal, and obviously be patient with it, you may be more likely to not only achieve it, but do it again the year after that, and make it a habit and a lifestyle, most importantly. Then again, look, some of you may just want the abs for the summer and may not care all year round. However, we all know that maintaining a healthy and balanced lifestyle all year round is crucial, and setting these long-term goals can be a way for you to really stick to that. So that, guys, is how you've got to eat and train in order to get abs. You've got all the answers here now. Now it's for you to go away and apply everything you've learned in this video to make sure you get the abs that you've always wanted. Again, thank you guys for watching this video. Smash that like button. Comment below whether you think you're gonna get those beach body abs, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.